But speaking of news, though, on the AEW front, it was just announced yesterday. This is fresh off the presses. AEW reportedly, not even reportedly, confirmed to have extended their deal with Warner Brothers Discovery for 4 more years. A lot of terms in the deal, a lot of stuff I'm probably forgetting here. But I think it's valued at around $180 million a year, which is a massive increase from what it was previously. They had announced that Dynamite and Collision, no mention of Rampage, which makes it sound like it might be going away. There is a Rampage this week. They set up a match for Rampage on Dynamite last night. So it's not like it's completely canceled as of right now, but it probably will be going away soon in favor of that Shockwave show, which we discussed a couple of weeks ago on Fox. So thankfully they're not I don't think they're adding an hour. I think they're taking away Rampage, which currently airs on one of the Warner networks, and replacing it with Shockwave, seemingly on Fox or FS1, whatever. So they're going to be airing Dynamite and Collision, I guess, simultaneously with those shows on TNT and TBS respectively, on Max starting in January. So I guess for people that don't have cable or you can't watch it through YouTube TV or whatever, you can watch it on Max. But speaking of Max, they did announce this was like the big thing that people were waiting for. Pay-per-views, because I guess you can't watch them on Bleacher Report anymore, which sucks for me. That's obviously how I watch it now. But I guess currently you can watch it through Triller, you can watch it through YouTube and payperview.com on traditional pay-per-view, whatever. But starting at some point in 2025, they didn't say exactly when, you can watch the pay-per-views also on Max, but at a discounted rate. Which, I mean, I have my own thoughts on that. I don't really think, why not just include it with Max? It's like Peacock. Peacock's $10. I mean, Max is more than $10. So is Peacock without ads. But why not just offer it as part of the service? Why offer it at like $20? That's in addition to what you're already paying for Max, but whatever. And in addition to the whole AEW library will be up there, I guess in January they said as well. So a lot of terms there, a lot of details, but nothing but a positive for the business to see AEW continue despite qualms about the product itself, attendance, ratings, shit that we've talked about before. But any first impressions upon hearing that news, what it means for the company, and just any of the terms of the deal that might stick out to you?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on, I guess I would say my first, question would be, how much the increase compared to what they're getting already. I mean, 170 is good. I mean, I know that their roster alone, I can only imagine what the budget for that is on top of TV and everything else. So, I mean, I don't know how much they already got. I mean, I think depending on how much you're getting now compared to how much, they keep bringing in talent. So I can only imagine what the talent budget is, running TV every week, all that stuff. I don't know all the economics, but, I think going to one platform, like you said, with Max is a good first step. It's on Bleacher Report and then all that other stuff. It's kind of different. But when you said the whole pay-per-view, kind of like you're paying for Max and top of the pay-per-view, that's kind of what UFC does now with ESPN. Like, you have to pay for ESPN Plus.
Oh, really?
And the pay-per-view is still like $50, $60. It's not like it's a discounted. I think if you pay like a month in advance for the show, I think you can save $10 on it. But at that point, you're kind of committing, and who knows what's going on. At that point, when you're spending $60, what's the difference between 50 and 60 at that point?
Yeah.
It's similar to what they do already. Like you said, it's kind of non-attractive compared to what they do at Peacock, but assuming once that Peacock's deal, WWE will go something similar. But
yeah.
So you're paying for the service. It's like a double paywall, which kind of is annoying, but it is. Kind of like I said, that's something UFC already does, but, we'll see what happens. Like, Bleacher Report was obviously a free app. You're just paying for the pay-per-view. Not sure exactly what Max is nowadays. Like I said, I think it may be $20, but
without ads,
so $20 on top of, I don't know, 40, 50. That's like $60 a month. So
yeah,
it's kind of crazy. But like you said, I think it's a good start. Like I said, I don't know the whole economics. When they keep bringing in more people in, running TV, like 170 sounds great, but I don't know all the economics. I'm not quite sure exactly how they're making out. Like Tony, realistically for him, it's like he's like, oh, we need an increase to keep going, but it's like he's got like unlimited money, so it doesn't.
Yeah.
Unless his dad said like no mas, then I guess like he'd be fine because his dad, like, he is rich, but it is mostly his dad's money. They did kind of leak out that Warner Brothers does have a stake in the company, which he said before they didn't. So like that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
But besides that, like I said, I think the money wise, like they'll keep going until Shad says no more.
Yeah, as far as the steak thing goes, I had seen that it wasn't true, like they had said after the fact. I don't know why that was included in the report, so it might be, it might not be. I don't know why it would be included in the report if it wasn't true. So maybe it is, and they're just, I don't know, kayfabing the reporter. I'm not sure, but hopefully we find out more about that in due time. Compared to what they're making now, I think it's a massive increase. I thought for whatever reason, $50 million sounds low. They couldn't have been making $50 million a year as it was. I think from a source, I think it was WrestleVotes, which is actually pretty credible. They said 180 last night is what they will be making. Compared to what it is now, I feel like it's maybe 100 million more. I could be just making that shit up. For whatever reason, I feel like it's a lot more. But I think the key here, and I could be wrong, but I think the new deal makes them profitable because they've been around for 5 years now and they haven't been necessarily profitable until now because they had that TV deal, but they were spending a lot more than what they were making for that TV deal. So, yeah, I mean, that might have been a factor. I'm not going to say that, his dad told him no. If they didn't make a massive increase, then they would have still been in the red to a certain extent. So I think the deal is a big improvement from what they were doing before. As far as the pay-per-view stuff is concerned, I think you're right, though. I think it's kind of too soon to tell. I don't love the idea of, I already have Max and whatever. I just use my brother's account. He has fucking Max. And then also adding on like $30, $40 on top. They didn't say exactly what the discounted rate would be. But I would imagine, to your point, it might be $20. Because I think the pay-per-views as they are currently, if you just buy them, might be $55, I think, on Bleacher Report and shit. I don't know. It might be somewhere around there. So let's say they offer it for $40. Max itself is probably $15, $20 without ads. That's $60, so it's the price of a normal pay-per-view. You're not really saving money. It's probably the exact same thing. But like you said, though, people were complaining about that, and understandably so, especially compared to WWE. That's the first thing you're going to think of. But like you said, UFC is already doing that model through ESPN and whatnot, where you have to pay for that service and then pay for the pay-per-view on top of it, obviously slightly discounted or whatever it ends up coming out to. That probably, it looks bad compared to WWE, but UFC through TKO is working with WWE. That seems to be the way of the future. So, AEW's way of doing things might not be considered the wrong way of doing it come a year or two when WWE's done on Peacock. We have at least another year and a half of that. I think their Peacock deal runs out in early 2026. I think they signed a 5-year deal in 2021. But that's got to be the way of the future, right? That we're going back to paying $50, $60 for these pay-per-views. And in AEW, it was different because they only had 4 a year at one point. But now it's back to like monthly pay-per-views, especially revving on up into 2025. They have one in January. In the next couple months alone, they have one this month. They have Full Gear next month. World's End in December. Wrestle Dream or Kingdom, whatever it is, in January. I don't know if they have one in February. I think they do. I think they have their Australia Grand Slam show. So they have monthly pay-per-views that are going to be $50, $60 a month if you include the Max subscription. We don't know the exact rate yet, but is this the way of the future for pay-per-view as it comes to wrestling compared to the $10 we were paying for the WWE Network a decade ago?
I think so. The problem is I feel like for WWE specific, it's like you went from the $50 a month or $40, whatever it was back in the day, to then $10 a month for just a service. Then you're going to go back for a service, and like I said, like it's kind of like a double paywall. I'll be interested to see what the numbers look like after the fact, if that's their way they're going in.
Yeah.
UFC for me specifically, like normally if I do purchase a show, I usually watch it with a friend, and you can, even if we're not together, for ESPN Plus specifically, you can watch, 2 people can watch on the same account at the same time. So technically, like, if it's $60, you can split it with someone, so it's $30.
Yeah.
I actually learned that from Greg. Greg actually told me that.
Yeah,
I did not
smart.
know that at first, so it's a good little cheat there. But like you said, I feel like for us, like maybe they'd be smart, and if they're going back to like a pay-per-view kind of like mold of actually paying per show. I think I'd be fine with like the big 4 maybe being like $50, $60, but like I'm not paying $60 for fucking Fastlane. I'm sorry.